We meet face-to-face 2 or 3 times a year. We meet every month via teleconference because council members are from around the whole province. There can be up to 14 members plus an MLA or a deputy chair that is a member of government. We currently have 11, and I think in my time with council, the most exciting thing about being a part of it right now is that we have people that are young, we have people that are, I'm going to say like me, older, and we have everything.
Diverse.
Yeah, I'm seasoned or anyhow, and everything in between. And I think the other thing that really happened in the last expansion of council and renewal of council is that we had a much broader perspective of the disability community. And it's not that any one of us represents a specific sector, but we bring with us a breadth of experience in that cross-disability lens. And I think that we are more, we have more experience across more disabilities now than what we had in the past. And I think that that is the new era, the new generation for council, to have that really multifaceted cross-disability experience and that variation in ages and the geographic representation, so that we truly can represent the interests of people with disabilities across Alberta. So it was a change, and it's a really positive change.
Good.
I know one of the things that people ask me often is, how do you actually influence policy? So I appreciate that that's something that the council has developed some skill at. Maybe, Carmen, you could share a bit of ideas about how to make that work.
So there's lots of people that think because of the legislation, and we're called a Premier's Council, it will mean that we automatically tap Minister Bardwaj on the shoulder, or we talk to one of the other ministers or the Premier himself and recommend policy changes. But really where they happen is with the administration staff and with program providers, and we need to be a part of those conversations, because by the time it's actually on any kind of an agenda that influences policy, the decisions and the recommendations are too far along for us to influence them. So where we really try to be engaged and have solid, credible relationships is with the administration. And so, but as Minister Bardwaj mentioned, that means across ministries. So we have people sitting on a barrier-free council that is dealing with maybe Service Alberta, or working with the transportation, or working with the City of Edmonton. So it can't be, we're in this disability unit. We have to have relationships across all levels of government and all different types of government, and that's the only way it will work, because we have to be a part of the early discussions. And so that's really how we influence change. And then I guess the practical side of it is that when there is something under review, we can submit a position paper, we can participate in consultations, we can conduct consultations. So there's lots of ways we formalize getting into providing advice, and some of it is extremely formal. And others is just being a part of the conversation and being on the pulse.
Super. And because you have such a, I'm going to say reputation, but recognition factor, Cam, I'm imagining as you gather input from the larger community that you have a variety of ways that you do that. Can you describe some of the ways you gather that?
I think that the first foremost is just meeting people and hearing their concerns and their ideas. We've also started a Facebook page and a Twitter account, and we are really trying to drive discussion on the platform.
So people don't have to go to a town hall meeting to give their input?
Not in 2015. being.
Now, Carmen, I appreciate that there are probably times when people come to the council with what is going to need some advocacy, and you've not described that as part of your role. So how does that work, or what do you do when somebody comes to you with that sort of a need?
Regardless of why an individual or group might come to council, it could be to ask us to advocate on their behalf. It's a great place to start the conversation. And so they may be saying, can you take this to government? And there are ways that I can explain that isn't how we operate, that we get involved in consultations, we do position papers, we work across disabilities. There needs to be a policy issue attached to it, and multiple groups behind it. But they still have a story to tell that's very important for me to hear, because it is a part of it, and it will open up my eyes to looking for that similar theme or that similar story in other disability groups, because we don't deal with one experience or one issue. We want to deal with a trend in the disability community and then put that through a bit of a litmus test on whether or not there are barriers that people with disabilities are experiencing because of that. But it's only those stories that are going to shed light on some of the barriers that people with disabilities are facing. So although we don't do advocacy, it is a great start to the conversation.